The beautiful thing about full surrender is you get to be who you are, fully who you are. If God intended you to be somebody else, He would have made you somebody else. And Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus so that we can do the good things He planned for us long ago." I grew up in a lower middle class family. I'm a middle child. I have an older sister and a younger sister. We're local. We're from Sharon. When I was 8 years old, I think it was like 1993, I was in the second grade, and we had spring break and it snowed. Well, I was like making a snow angel in the yard at my grandmother's house on the corner of 5th Avenue and 10th Street, right up the road from here. My sister lives there now. We were playing, and they think maybe a big gust of wind must have hit me in the face or something, made my temperature drop like a lot in a couple seconds, and made me start having seizures. Well, they sent me to get medical help here, and they couldn't do anything for me, so they flew me in a helicopter to Oshner's in New Orleans. Up until that time, I had like a pretty bad cough, and Dr. Meadows would just write like liquid codeine for the cough, and I'd been taking that since I was little. And while I was at Oshner's, they had to induce a coma because they couldn't get me to quit season, so I was in a coma for like 27 hours before they could bring me out. When they brought me out, they did a bunch of tests and stuff, and they said all they could think was the temperature thing. But they did discover that I had asthma, and that was what was causing my cough, so they took me off the codeine medicine. It was in that I started having withdrawal symptoms. I didn't sleep for like 3 days, had real bad hallucinations, nightmares. So they had to put me back on the cough medicine and wean me off of it. So I was dealing with addiction early on. You know, you start out like taking something from a doctor. It's innocent enough. I mean, my parents wouldn't have given it to me if they thought that it was going to cause. And I'm not saying that's why I got on drugs, but I mean, it is a contributing factor. So fast forward 10 years, just started partying because it was fun. Before I knew it, it was a habit. It was no longer a choice when I woke up in the morning whether or not I was going to get high. That was no question. It was how was I going to get high. So that was, you know, I worked. I muddled through. I had a family. I have 2 daughters. I've given birth to 2 sons. Before I went to the ZAC House, it was no longer manageable. I mean, for the longest time, I was a functioning addict. I work, I have a job, I have a car, I have a house and all that. But before I knew it, I was like 35 years old and was losing everything. 2 failed marriages. Moved me and my girls back in with my mom and relapsed. And this time it was bad. And I mean, for 5 years straight, y'all, I would wake up every day with the best of intentions to not get high, every day. And at the end of the day, it was another day wasted. Because I just couldn't do it on my own strength. 2020, I caught a bigger charge, because I'd been in and out of jail for like misdemeanor, possession, domestic, but nothing big. And I was so mad when I got arrested because I was like, this is not my fault. You know, it's never your fault when you find yourself in that position. But if I wouldn't have caught that felony charge, I wouldn't have been able to get on drug court. And I had been calling when I was pregnant with my youngest son. He just turned 2 in February. I was calling, trying to get into the ZAC House. Called and talked to Patrick. Patrick's like, call us when you're not pregnant. I don't know what to tell you. Like, we can't say, you know, someone that's like 8 months pregnant. That's too. And besides the fact I didn't have the money to pay. I mean, if I had $500 a month, me and my kids wouldn't be living with my mama. We would have been, you know, had our own place. So whenever Miss Wally found me, I had. My parents had my older 3. I have 2 daughters, and like I said, I had 2 sons, but I gave up my youngest son for adoption to a family member because I was not able to quit using drugs. And at this point, I didn't laugh anymore, I didn't smile anymore, I was miserable to be around. I still worked, but I was bouncing back and forth, just unstable, because I didn't want to get high around my kids, so I would stay gone all the time. And I was just really, really hopeless. I went in for the interview with drug court, and Officer Wyndham asked me when was the last time I used. I was like, in a parking lot, right before I come in. I mean, it's bad. You know, they were asking me, did I need help? yeah, I mean, if I didn't need help, I'd be like sober right now. I wouldn't still be a hot mess express. But thank God for divine planning and divine placement. He put me on a trajectory. If I wouldn't have caught that charge that I thought was not my fault, I wouldn't have been able to get on drug court. If I wouldn't have been able to get on drug court, I wouldn't have been able to get in the ZAC House. If I wouldn't have been able to get in the ZAC House, I wouldn't have learned the life skills to be able to get out of the ZAC House and go to Goshen and have transitional living. If I wouldn't have went to Goshen, I would have never been able to go to Dwell, the apartments that I'm living at now, where you get all kind of access to all kind of help. It was what I needed. And y'all, I was mad about it when I first got into the ZAC House. I ain't gonna lie about it. I was mad. I was not fun to be around. I gave Miss Ashley a run for her money, and she just loved me on through it. And I had a lot of people pouring into me, even though I was mad. I was really mad. So I was a grumpy face for the first month I was there. Might have been more. I don't know. But before long, I realized, I was like, look, you can either be mad about this, or you can latch on and you can take advantage of the help that's being offered to you. And I did. And once I did, God started revealing himself to me. I mean, I didn't even know where he was. When you're a child, you have dreams, and when you get older and you're using, you forget about these dreams. You forget that you wanted to be an artist. You forget that you wanted to sing. You forget all the little dreams that you had. While I was at the ZAC House, my art was featured in a gallery downtown. And I mean, that was nothing. So I was always mad. But to me, it was like, God does see little girls from Sharon, Mississippi that have no money and no connections. He sees us too, because up until that point, I didn't believe that. I thought that I was just all throwaway and had accepted that, that was just my lot in life. He restored dreams. I'm singing in the choir, and I'm not the most talented person, but God appreciates what I have to offer, and that's who I'm going to be singing for. And that was the dream of mine. As a child, when I came into the ZAC House, I had no dreams. I had no ambitions. They said, what do you like to do? And I'm like, I know what I used to like to do, but don't do that no more, so I don't really know. We're going to have to see. We're going to have to find out. So I have listed out a few reasons, well, several reasons, why I'm thankful to have gone through the ZAC House. It gave me time to heal. When I was out in the world before I went into the ZAC House, I didn't have any connections. All my connections were drug related. I had severed all healthy ties with anybody that was good for me. And it was a recipe for disaster. It was just every place that I went to, they were encouraging use and to go get more. And it was just, I had set myself up for failure. It was impossible to get better and to be sober and maintain a healthy life when I'm not surrounded with healthy people. And I got hurt a lot, and I'm sure I hurt a lot of people when I was in addiction, but there were some things that I went through that I needed the time to heal. I needed the time set apart from society to be able to get off in my own little sick room, little sick bed, and let God work on my heart. And he did that right here on these altars. And pretty much every time the altar was open, I come down and I'm like, God, I don't know why I'm here, but you do. So I need you to work it out, because I've got stuff. I mean, I just knew I was still a toxic person in a lot of ways. I knew that my ways and my thoughts were not right, but that just because I knew that wasn't right, didn't know I knew the right way to do, or the right way to act, or the right way to think. So it gave me time to heal. It taught me how to submit. I was bucking. I was bucking bad. I was not, problems with authority and all that good stuff. That was me. I was very entitled. I thought that the world owed me something, and it doesn't. It really doesn't. And God owes me nothing. He's already, but I didn't know him for who he was. I just thought he was all these rules, and he was as far off, waiting to strike me down with a lightning bolt. And that's not the way he is. He puts these rules into place as safety guards. You stay within these parameters, and you will be safe. You go outside these parameters, and you're going to get hurt. And I mean, I was a sinner. I was awful. I've broken all of the 10 Commandments, and even still, he provided a way. He paved the way. He bridged the gap. Where I chose not him, he still chose me. And that's amazing to me. I mean, it's still even hard for me to fathom. It gave me time to break habits. I went into 4 different rehabs that I came out and I was using the same day I left, because I wasn't in there very long. I was in there 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. but I wasn't never in there long enough. I mean, as soon as I had my big plans, I'm gonna tell them what they want to hear, and I'm gonna cross this off, and they're gonna release me, and I'm gonna go back and do the same thing that this is the first rehab I've ever been to that I didn't even want to use when I got out. It was different. It was different coming out of here. I received something in here that I did not receive in those other places. Maybe because they were not faith-based. Maybe because they were all psychology side of it and didn't want to tie in the spiritual side of it into it. I don't know. This place is anointed. I do know that. I do know that God is working. I was a hard place. I was really hard-headed. They say the younger ones have a better success rate coming into rehab because they're not set in their ways. When you're almost 40, you're pretty set in some ways, and you think that your ways are the best, or else you wouldn't have been doing it that way this long. But I got to a point where I was like, God, I've messed this up. I've messed this up so bad. No human being can fix it. I can't fix it. A lawyer can't fix it. It's going to take a miracle. That's right. And nothing short. And he did that for me. Yeah. He really did. He placed me here, and he did that for me. And so many other goals that I saw. It gave me time, it gave me access to classes that I needed, life skill classes, healing the soul of a woman, anger management, all of these classes, boundaries, like all these little simple things that you would think that a middle-aged woman would know by now. But I didn't. I had no concept of any of this stuff, and I listened and I took notes, and I still have my notes, just in case. It gave me time to build my relationship with God. I had to get in the Bible and get to know God to be able to build my relationship with God. But I was given the opportunity to do that. They give you quiet time for like 2 hours every day. And you can either nap or you can get in your Bible. And I did a little bit of both, if I'm being honest. But I did have time to get in my Bible, and I took advantage of that. While there, I learned how to maintain a healthy structure and routine. I mean, I was just all over the place. I mean, you can tell by me talking, like, I'm all over the place. I'll jump from this to that, and my home and my rooms were very indicative of that. You can tell. But this place taught me, you had a schedule every day, and you had to follow it. And for the most part, I still follow the same schedule that was implemented at the ZAC House. I get up and read my devotional every morning. I have breakfast. I get ready for work. I go to work. And then all of my evenings are slotted out. Monday night I have Dying to Live. Tuesday night is my sponsor meeting. Wednesday night is children's church. Thursday night is choir practice. Friday night is restoring the broken. So it's all slotted out pretty well. I don't always make it restoring the broken, but because I do all that after I get off work. But I'm going to work and showing up on time. Not calling out. Not being there calling up shows. Calling Tracy after my shift ends. Hey man, I'll come close the door. I'm so sorry. I just woke up. And her letting me get away with that. Why she did, I don't know. She's also a recovering addict, so she understands. I got exposure to different people with different backgrounds. There was 12 of us in that house at one point. And like, that's a lot of girls to be sticking in, women. To be ratchet, messed up, jacked up women. None of us like thriving and doing well. I mean, we was in rehab. So like, it was a mess sometimes, and getting on that van was hot sometimes, and I'd be like freaking out. But I mean, it taught me patience. It taught me how to learn how to deal with different people. And the sandpaper people, there was a lot of them, and there was a lot of polishing people too. We always talk about the sandpaper people. We don't talk enough about the polishing people. Courtney was one of my polishing people. She brought out the best in me. I recognized some of my own personal things coming up in life. In her, and it was just an encouragement. She was 3 months ahead of me, and I was like, if God can do it for her, he'll do it for me. So she was very encouraged. Her and a bunch of other people. I grew close to and was groomed by and loved on by some of the matriarchs of the church. This is like really important for me. Pastor Serlini, Miss Wanda, Miss Maxine, Miss Doris, Miss Barbara, all 3 of them. Miss Monica, Miss Ashley, Miss Debbie, Miss Sandy, Bridget, Tierra, LaShawna, and many, many, many more of godly Christian women who were not on drugs, who were not unhealthy, but they were all healthy and positive influences in my life, and they poured into me and loved on me like I was somebody, like I mattered, like I was a human. I wasn't, to society a lot of the times an addict is just, you're labeled an addict and that's how you're treated. They didn't treat me like that here. And it helped me grow into who I am, like who I really am, who God created me to be, not who the devil's drugs perverted me to be, because I had a lot of talents and a lot of skills that I believe were perverted by doing the wrong things, hanging out with the wrong people, listening to the wrong stuff, the wrong influences. And so, like, a good storyteller turns into a liar, and I could give some more examples, but I won't. I got connected to the church. That's my last thing. I don't like, they talk about being brainwashed, and honestly, y'all, I needed to be brainwashed, because my mind was filthy. I really, they talk about that with negative connotation, but I came in here once the fog cleared, a couple months in, I realized, like, my thought's wrong. Let's go with a new way of thinking, and this church has helped me to learn the Bible, and to learn doctrine, and to learn all these things that help you learn who God is, which in effect helps you learn who you are. And I'm just really, really, really grateful to be able to laugh again. I'm really grateful to be connected to such wonderful people, to live a life that's worth living. Before I went to the ZAC House, I was like, God, if this is it, just let me die. I don't want to, if this is all there is to it, I can't keep doing this anymore. And he heard me, and he answered me, and I'm ever so grateful that he did. Thank y'all for listening.